we fall in love. Hey, what's up? 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 All right, guys. You know how it is. It's Gigi. You know what's going on. I'm back, and you know why. For another reading. This one is for the Spike Lee. The Spike Lee. The Spike Lee. Hold on one second. Let me just be wiping this water up from my thing. Those of you know me very well now. Off camera, I tend to work with a lot of paper towels and sometimes end up in this chair. And I'm stuffing my face before reading. Yeah. I'm gonna need it one more time. Hold on, let me just get it perfect here. There we go. All right, no more issues. Okay, so Spike Lee. Let's talk about it. Spike Lee has a masterclass. I don't know if you guys have seen the website Masterclass, which is the true one. It specializes in getting professionals to show you, teach you what they do, whether it's writing, filmmaking, basketball. They've got one by Steph Curry. They got one Serena Williams. They've got one James Patterson, a writer's one. They got one Judy Blume. I don't know if you guys know Judy Blume, a childhood author, but she's also an adult author. So on and on, right? I just saw Spike Lee today on Masterclass video and was guided to do a reading for him. And by the way, guys, I know you guys are like, why the hell is she talking so much? I know you guys don't know this, but I have to do this sometimes to get into the energy, you know what I mean? To the energetic mode in order to get to it. So anyway, Spike, for two reasons. One, I saw that today and that masterclass today on he's doing filmmaking. The other thing is I saw, there was some mess with him about 2.5 weeks ago where Spike Lee was kicked out of the Knicks building. Anybody who's from New York, anybody who has been to a Knicks game, anybody who has ever done anything Knicks knows that Spike Lee is like the number one fan ever, endlessly dying endlessly for the Knicks. He's always been front row, courtside, everything. And he was just completely disrespected and thrown out of the building, all but thrown out of the building. He's been going there literally for like almost 30 years. He has beef with almost every basketball player who played the Knicks, especially in that 1993-95 season, etc. So I will try not to bore you guys to death, but I need to talk about this process a little bit more in order to get to Spike Lee. So you can feel free to skip this video up until the reading starts. Sorry about that. And go from there. Sorry. Let me get it together over here. Get it together. All right. And I'm sure it's gonna be okay. Oh my God, thank God I checked this not for children because that scene just 10 minutes ago, but I mean, I'm living in a beach town, just consider it a bikini, get over it. We're all adults here. I'm sure you've seen a bra before. I'm sure most of us have seen plenty of bras before, both men and women. So let's get down to it with Spike Lee. I'm hoping he personally gets this thing taken care of with the Knicks because they were super disrespectful to him. I can see like this. The Knicks arena is Spike Lee's home. It is his second home. It's the home we don't know he has. There's something about the Knicks building, the New York experience, just there's something that everything that just, and he is just so distraught. I think that's why I was kind of brought around to this because I was so upset for him, not like angry or anything, but I just felt so bad for him because of this, thing with the Knicks and the way he was treated. He takes one exit, comes in the building, they scan his ticket. He goes in to get in the elevator and go up. They stop the elevator, tell him he has to get out, tell him he has to walk back down the hallway. leave the building, go out into the cold. And anyone who's been to Madison Square Garden knows it's really windy over there in the winter. It's super windy, and anybody who's met Spike Lee knows, and anybody who's seen Spike Lee knows he is this little. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I'm just saying, like, he is alone. He's really small man, really skinny. I really think Spike Lee, I don't think he's over 5'5", you know, and he is tiny. And, for him to have to go outside of the building on his own, he lives right there in Brooklyn. Anybody of you who don't know New York know the Knicks, is kind of in a way sort of still lower Manhattan. It's not really lower Manhattan, but it's not Midtown either. So it's still, it's still kind of it's accessible in maybe 20, maybe 30 minutes, but 20 minutes with traffic, I think, from the downtown Brooklyn area that where Spike Lee probably still lives. So he takes a cab. He just gets in a New York cab. I don't think he even bothers to get in a Uber. Gets in there, takes a cab up to 31st Street or 33rd, gets off, goes in there. He doesn't have any security or anything. This is how comfortable he is. This is what he's been doing for years. So, to be disrespected like that, to be treated like that, to not be told anything ahead of time, to not just be allowed to go to his seat, it was just super upsetting. It felt pointedly disrespectful. So, okay, I know I took like 1,000 years to tell you guys that story, but here we are. But he is just distraught over this thing. But you know what? His greatest work is going to come from this. It really is. I think for Spike Lee as well, and there it is. His greatest work is going to come from this experience, because I think Spike Lee carries a pain from generations. He and it's here too. He carries a pain from generations, and you could kind of see it in his work. You could see it in his sort of like dislocation, because he's like kind of, and there it is too. Like Spike Lee is, he creates, but he also creates from a painful place. He also creates to a certain extent, to me, like there's a jadedness about him, and it's understandable too. I will say understandable because, I shouldn't say this, but after several decades on this earth, and you should too, because either you live behind the walls of the people who cause this kind of pain, or you're behind the walls of people who experience this kind of pain and lockout. And so it's understandable. This has really caused him to think as well. And I think he's come up with a really good idea. So I was thinking, I was in the loo washing my hands. I know you probably guys don't care. And it just dawned on me like bling. I was like, Spike Lee should take his freaking $10 million that he spent sitting out courtside, and he should freaking he should save his freaking 10 million and become an investor in the Knicks eventually, because that guy's not going to be there forever. Dolan. So in any case, like, this kick out thing was yeah, wow. There's a lot going on here. I didn't expect this whole story to be told from the bottom of the card deck or validated. So let me see. There are people internally in that franchise who have been around longer than the owner, of course, James Dolan, who is just probably like really like a Johnny come lately compared to Spike Lee, who has been there for, like coming there for, 30 years, basically 30 years. So there are people in that building who also worked with the Knicks organization, who really feel like, this was super disrespectful. This was really, really disrespectful to Spike Lee. It was so uncalled for. Like, there was no reason for this. And then Spike Lee was so upset, and he went on First Take and talked to Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman and Molly. Um, that's unlike Spike Lee. He's more of a quiet person, but he's a noisy filmmaker. Let me say that. Like, he makes noise in his films. Now, he's not a noisy filmmaker, but he makes noise in his films. Um, and that's the only place that you really hear noise from him. So that he was very upset about this. And his thing was like, I didn't even know. I didn't know I've been going this for 28 years. I literally have been taking that entrance. And then the other thing that really pissed me off personally was that there were other people at ESPN, and not the heavy hitters like Stephen A. Smith, Sass, and who else? You know what I mean? Like, it's like a Stephen A. Smith, and then everybody else is kind of like, sort of, no disrespect, but I'm just saying, like, everybody else is just kind of like, you know, not that well known, like outside of hardcore ESPN people. Um, in any case, one of the anchors said, it bothers me that I take that interest. I took that same interest that night and wasn't even spoken to, and yet Spike Lee was told all of this, that he's a courtside, he's a consistent patron. So a lot of people are really within the organization. They're quiet about it, but they are upset about it. And when the time comes right, they're going to hang this man out to dry, this owner, because people are asking that he leaves. And I wouldn't be surprised, actually, behind the scenes, if there are a little bit of petitioning for through the NBA to ask him to sell the team, because there was that going on, but I just kind of see it here as well. So, and I feel like for whatever reason, the movement it's quiet, and it's contained or restrained in a little bit, like, it's not angry, but it's purposeful, and it's assertive, but not overly aggressive, let's say. So I didn't expect all this from this reading here, but it's fine. Um, Getting back to Spike Lee, this person, James Dolan, really felt like he obtained some power from doing that to Spike Lee. It's showing right here. Like, I've never really seen this, like, when two people have an argument, like, stuff, but this person literally felt like they gained power from this. Um, you know, and for whatever reason, I don't know why, he was definitely intent on keeping Spike Lee kind of out. And I really think that eventually this was a way, it was a process. It's been going on for a while. Oh, and I could kind of see why, because you know what, when Spike Lee kind of comes in there, people speak to him. Um, it kind of just really feels like home to him. There's a freedom which he moves through the place, that triggers the stolen owner. And so at halftime, Dolan went down to speak to Spike Lee about going through that entrance and all this. And I mean, it's just unnecessary to treat somebody like that who's been there longer than you. Who, I mean, if I could see if you had to tell them 5, 6, 7 times or whatever. And so the press was, I don't know where this is going. Is this a reading, or is this me kind of talking about this? I think it's kind of like both. So I'll be sure to note that it's a lot of my commentary plus the reading. But you know, Spike Lee said, they call me for my ticket, for my purchase, or whatever. I just would have expected that they would just call me and at least tell me about this entrance. It's kind of like right there too. And now that he's gone, they want him back. They kind of want him, I mean, Dolan would be happy with him gone, but this has been like a PR nightmare for him. And it has affected some sales, but now with the coronavirus as well, the NBA shut down. That's also some karma. That's also some karma because you're gonna need these ticket holders or whatever. You're not gonna know what's going on next season. New York is extremely hard hit. So it is so crazy. And you just don't know what's gonna happen when you mistreat people, and now you're getting hit by everything that is just really not that great. So this also may be something that moves this owner out because this may actually distract him. Sorry, this may disturb his funds big time. Let's see what else is going on here. Guess Spike Lee is trying to avoid me here. I'm trying to read about him. He's giving me all this NBA crap. The NBA may do something with some funding in order to help some of these owners out next season. But I feel like the NBA overall as an organization, I don't feel like they looked on that situation with Spike Lee to they usually don't get involved in things, but I don't really think they're very pleased about that situation. Mm. They think that his actions were really nasty, and I think that he was kind of spoken to about it, but kind of not admonished, but dissuaded. It's not dissuaded, but it's, like spoken to about like how that just really wasn't the greatest move. And he's like all over the place right now. He's like confused. He is like um give me 1 second. Let me see. Okay, so he's like all over the place. He's like I feel like the NBA is kind of saying, when you do that, you're so disrespectful to someone. You don't have the right just because you're an owner. I feel like there was a talk with him, like you kind of just have to realize you don't fully, because you own something, you don't fully have the rights. You're nothing without the people who support you. And if you turn off the public being so disrespectful, it's super problems. And you brought problems to our front doorstep. And so I just want to speak to you to let you know. So I feel like is his name Adam Silver, the NBA person or whatever. So I do feel like after that talk, and there are a number of other issues for whatever reasons with the Knicks organization that it seems that were addressed in that same communication. This Adam Silver has a way of speaking to people. He's calm, and there's a regalness, I guess, about him. I don't get that from him per se. I can't say, but he's I get a calmness from him. Like when I see him, there's an authority about him, I guess you could say. That's what I think I'm trying to say. And he will speak to you in a calm manner, but he's also kind of like really well thought out. And we're beginning to see that now because people were complaining, thinking he closed down the NBA entirely too early and hugely overreacted. And it turns out he didn't. As Trump would say, turns out it was a good move, folks. So he's very well thought out, and I think he rules with a stern but a calm hand, or a steady, definitely steady. And so I think even the effect of just really speaking to this man, I feel like he had to really say one thing, and then there was no real viewpoint, um, like no real looking into his viewpoint. Dolan looking into his personal viewpoint to evaluate it to see if it was right. And so I found that Adam Silver, is it, had to, the commissioner, he had to speak. He's like, okay, let me explain this even deeper. Okay, let me explain this even deeper. And that's when he came to this thing about just because you're the owner doesn't mean that this is a completely independent operation. It's interdependent upon others. I apologize, you guys. I've really lost some weight because this shirt used to fit. We just try to arrange over here. But he finally told them, like, the way you act, even if you don't like someone, like, you can't forgo kindness, you can't forgo those things. So there is some kind of, I want to say there's some kind of suspension. There isn't a suspension, but it is the NBA lock. The NBA is suspended, obviously. Um, and I think that Dolan's trying to do things to please Adam Silver and all of that. And he may also be doing like some renovations and stuff like that, that may be nice, and doing some more things like that might help the community. Because, kind of in Dolan's favor too, there have been certain people have been like, when he's friends with you, he goes to bat for you. I don't know this man, but I just know the way. How could you ever even treat Spike Lee like that? And I will say about Spike Lee, having met him ages ago as well, but I don't want to judge him. He's not rude, but he's not personable per se. But then again, I was a young girl, not like 13, but maybe there was nothing, and just any could have been, it could have been anything. It could have been a number of variables, but I don't, every time I see him, I don't see him as the most personable person, so I don't know, but I just, maybe there was a difference in the way rubbing of personalities or something like that or whatever. But in any case, he really kind of handled this wrong. And I see that he turned things upside down in the Knicks organization. Like, I think, a lot of employees, like the people who work there, and, even the people who like sell the hot dogs, and, all those people, a lot of times, like, people know Spike Lee in there, and having been to Madison Square Garden a handful of times, I could see how that happens. Because I've actually met some very nice people who worked in there as well, like just helpful, nothing, no friendships or anything like that. But um, so anyway, whatever. Um, yeah, I mean, now with this issue with Spike Lee, now Dolan also is like, with the NBA being locked out as well, and with other issues in management for him, which also Adam Silver brought up, this sort of lack of management over there. There's some form of like disorder, things like that. There's a lot of worry, and he actually may end up selling this team. So I don't know. I want to go back to this. I want to tell Spike, don't be bullshitting me, man. Like, Spike's energy is kind of closed as well. I'm not going to dig into his energy, but I'm just going to ask and see if there's anything more available now. But I think Spike Lee comes back with something really good after this experience as well. So let's see. Ooh. Yeah, I think that Dolan really probably walks around the Knicks arena and people look at him like he's a fucking dick. Like, you're a dick. I think he's feeling that. And this card showed up again. So I just feel like There's a chance based on the cards that I saw around this card that there really is a stronger chance than ever that he would actually sell that team. I think he's been putting in a lot of work. I think he's been trying to make this card came out, but it landed upside down. So first I'm gonna read it right side up and then upside down. He came in trying to take care of he came in trying to, kind of make up with the workers and stuff like that, but you know, people see through his BS as well, and the little coins and stuff like that. He's just trying to buy the people in the area, and people still see through that, and it's still of no consolation. I guess they feel some kind of energy about him, you know. So I do think that there's some kind of announcement, and there may be an overturn in the actual ownership because this might be too huge of a financial hit. It's definitely having to do um, with money as well. So let me just take a little bit more because maybe also there. I want to see how the cards are trying to have me read this because this is usually a positive card, but I think they're trying to have me read it a different way. But hmm. This would be really nice. I think that he may be trying to propose renovations for some private area for Spike Lee to sit. And he may offer that to Spike Lee, but by the time he gets around to doing this for Spike Lee, I'm not sure that Spike Lee will really. Yeah, look at that. I don't think that he would take the offer. He's so hurt. He's so destroyed over this. You have to understand, like with Spike Lee and stuff like that, with a man like that who also is carrying some of the pain. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this like I'm looking at him spiritually. He carries some pains from his earlier generations through his DNA and just through his interaction with them. So he carries a lot of pain of discrimination and of a time where it was literally the law to discriminate against Black people. So you weren't imagining anything going, I mean, God, I think it's racist. There was none of that. It was like, you sit at the back of the bus, and that's it. So, with Spike Lee, a lot of this shit is legit and it's indisputable and inarguable, I guess you could say. So he carries a lot of that, and I think that he took this to a place. I hear Nets, but I'd be very surprised if Spike Lee went over to the Nets, but maybe he will. I mean, it's right in his neighborhood. And that's the other thing too that's crazy. The Nets arena, which is it's a lot hipper, it's definitely newer and stuff like that. Brooklyn is so on point. Like Brooklyn is even better than Manhattan now. It's so super hip and really good food, both white and Black people and Hispanic and God, almost anybody you could name has made that place great with great food, with great hangouts, everything. Beautiful views of the city, all types of great gatherings, things of that nature, blah, 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 blahs, and so on and so forth. But in any case, um, this really gutted Spike Lee. And I don't think because he's been through so much, it's really tough to make any kind of connection with him. So I think that he feels really cut off from the Knicks, and I'm not sure that he will even. I think it'll take a long time for him to repair over this. He's still got love for the Knicks. Actually, he still has great love, but I don't think as far as Dolan being the owner there, I don't think that Spike Lee will take any kind of offer because it will feel really inauthentic. But I do feel like there's an opportunity. I'm also wondering if Dolan is smart that he offers Spike Lee like a stake in ownership there, and that would be really really nice, like a really nice stake in ownership. And I would say to Spike Lee to go ahead and just take it and don't worry about whether or not which way it came. But I think Spike Lee also doesn't want to be used as someone who would end up, like the remedy to somebody's assholism and disrespect that they haven't fully processed or graduated from in a mature manner, like as far as gaining maturity. So he doesn't want to be used in that way. But I think taking this stake in the Knicks would be really, really nice. Like having a minority ownership for now, and then building into more of an ownership each year or something like that. That would be really, really nice thing for Spike. Hmm. I think that the Nets are offering Spike Lee to come over to their organization, and I think that he may start going over there and really have had time to kind of think about it because he loves Brooklyn. The Nets are right in his neighborhood, and yeah, I think that's what's gonna happen. I thought I was gonna be able to do a better, more in depth reading for Spike Lee, but I'm not surprised that that didn't happen because Spike Lee is also a person who kind of is like not exactly open. So to pick up stuff on the cards for him is also very hard. But I will tell you, this experience has inspired like a really good movie idea for him, and whatever he comes out with next is gonna be successful, you know. So he's gonna do well. All right, so that's my reading for Spike Lee because I'm not really getting any info here. Look, this is Spike Lee. That's how he is. All right, guys. Have a good one. Bye.